Yes, and we are leading this edition of the afternoon prime time with this exclusive news break. Now, Europe, remember, has been in the clutches of terror for the last 6 months. From the Paris attacks, there is nearly similarity to the attacks that we've seen in 26/11 in Mumbai, to also the bombings we've reported in Brussels in March this year. Now, what Europe and the world exactly know so far is the link between the attacks in Paris and the Brussels bombing, which was carried out by the same ISIS module operated, as per investigators, by a terrorist called Abdesalam. And remember, he's been arrested in Brussels last month. Now, interestingly, it's a splinter cell that operated out of Brussels, which lured the radicalized youth from across the world. Some, in fact, also coming in from the war-ravaged nations in the Middle East, like Syria, also Iraq. Some also coming in from Afghanistan and Turkey, and some even from Pakistan. Yes, you've heard that right, Pakistan. Now, today, for the very first time on television, we are getting you details of a little-known terrorist of Pakistani origin who was prepared to blow himself up in Paris last year with 9 others who were on a suicide mission. What we know so far is that Mohammed Usman Ghani was picked up in Salzburg in Austria, and what we didn't know is how exactly Pakistan has gone silent on his LET links for the past 5 months, because remember, Austria has been asking for more details from Pakistan on this since December 2015, and no word from Pakistan. So Pakistan's link to Paris for the very first time on television.
March 18, 2016, Molenbeek, Brussels in Belgium. The sound of sirens in Europe's most notorious town post the attacks in Paris. The arrest of this terrorist in the raids, Salah Abdesalam, would be the Ajmal Kasab moment for Belgium. After all, he had pulled off what Europe thought was impossible until the 13th of November 2015. A coordinated strike at several targets across Paris, like the one witnessed in Mumbai. A siege and a hostage situation at a concert hall that brought back memories of the Taj Hotel. Shooting at 3 restaurants and 2 public places, like on the streets of South Mumbai. A Fedayeen strike and multiple bombings at the Stade de France. And terrorists who sneaked in across the border, like the seas Kasab and gang crossed to inflict terror on 26/11. The attacks on Paris eerily similar to the bloodbath in Mumbai, and a link so uncanny as we dig deeper into the story of this terrorist. Very little is known about 34-year-old Mohammed Ghani Usman, a terrorist with roots in Pakistan and a link to the Lashkar, which global media reports claim are traced back to 26/11. This veteran bomb maker for Zakiur Rahman Lakhvi's Lashkar-e-Taiba is reported to have crossed over to the Sunni extremist group Lashkar-e-Jangvi, also active in Syria, also linked to the ISIS which attacked Paris and Brussels. Usman Ghani has been arrested in Austria for links to the Paris bombers. Here is his journey. In early October 2015, a terrorist of Pakistani origin and travelling on a Syrian passport stolen by the Islamic State. He meets an Algerian national and 2 other Syrian nationals who make their way through the seas disguised as refugees. Their destination, Paris. But for Usman and Adil Haddadi, that journey is cut short as they are detained in Leros, Greece. End October, as they are released by Greece, the 2 terrorists proceed to Salzburg, Austria. It is here that their game ends. By now, their accomplices have successfully carried out the terror attacks in Paris. What's unknown is Usman's specific role in the Islamic State's Paris terror plot before he was detained in Leros, Greece. But the developments in Salzburg, Austria in late November could hold some of the answers. It's here at a refugee camp that Usman was detained. A mobile phone he was carrying would reveal the bigger terror nexus. Times Now's Danish Khan travelled to Salzburg in Austria via Vienna to complete the puzzle. The prosecutor's office holds the answers.
Well, we are here outside the prosecutor's office in Salzburg, where we have got independent confirmation that one of the arrested person is in fact of Pakistani origin. The problem is The authorities here have yet to hear back from Pakistan on their request to find out more information about Mohammad Usman Ghani. Ghani was arrested in December along with one more person at a refugee center here in Salzburg.
Given the sensitivity of the investigations and the focus of world media of the sensational link to Pakistan that's now emerged, the prosecutor refused to go on record and reveal the full details. He, however, handed us copies of the two statements from his office that reveal the untold story. Statement 1 dated February 18, 2016. In the third investigation on since mid-December 2015, 4 persons have been held in custody. The suspects were held on location on the 3rd of October 2015. 2 accused, as per our knowledge, a 28-year-old Algerian and the 34-year-old Pakistani, travelled with an approximately 30 to 40 persons in a refugee boat, together with 2 other men who were involved in carrying out the bombings in Paris much later after proceeding from Greece.
Investigations later revealed that they were not the refugees that they were acting out to be, and that they had in fact also possibly travelled with those who carried on the dastardly attack in Paris. The officer here has declined to come on camera, but told us that it's difficult to put a time frame on the trial that's currently underway.
And there's reason why the investigations, like in the case of 2611, are likely to be delayed. And that brings us to the second statement from the prosecutor's office, and only in Times Now's possession. That confirms a delay by Pakistan, a stunned silence and non-cooperation for 4 months. Read this statement carefully. Press release dated April 11, 2016. No confirmation that a 34-year-old Pakistani accused is one of the Mumbai bombers. Notices in this direction will be examined during the investigation. It is to be clarified in the investigation the questions concerning the actual identity of a 34-year-old Pakistani accused. On this issue, investigations are underway, and the prosecutor here has been waiting since December 2015 for information from Pakistan. Currently, the accused is in Salzburg custody, and therefore it is not secure to confirm that the suspect is a veteran bomb maker of the Pakistani terrorist organization Lashkar-e-Taiba. For the first time since the terror attacks in Paris and the subsequent strike on Brussels, a second terrorist organization has come under the scanner. The prosecutor in Salzburg doesn't deny reports of a possible Lashkar link. His query on whether Usman Ghani is linked to the Mumbai attacks has been unanswered for 4 months now, and investigators are connecting the dots one by one. Pakistan's silence is getting Europe's attention.
But they're not sharing information with Austria as well, it seems. It's been 3 months is a huge time.
Yeah, but you know, there is a problem. There are a lot of factual and legal problems concerned with passing on information, especially when it concerns third countries. So from a Pakistan perspective, for example, it could have political implications to give away that information. You never know exactly. If you give information to another state, you never know what happens to this information. You know, you never know what happens to this data. It can be, for example, that this information can be the basis for sanction against the state, because for, let's say, alleged state-sponsored terrorism.
Is it entirely possible that Pakistan is withholding information, being well aware of the consequences of giving away any direct link to Lashkar-e-Taiba that also attacked Mumbai under its government watch? Does it have information on Usman Ghani? We visited the Ashfinag refugee camp on the outskirts of Salzburg, where Usman was arrested.
The arrest of Usman Ghani and Adil Haddadi has been a hot topic for discussion in this refugee camp behind me, which houses around 120 people. Most of them are nationals of Iran, Morocco, Algeria and Pakistan. The inmates we spoke to here have of course heard of the case, but they haven't seen Ghani. That's because the government keeps on transferring them from one camp to another. तो ये पहले जब आप आते हैं यहाँ पर तो आपसे पूछताछ करते हैं आप जो कुछ भी कि कहाँ से हैं आप, क्या है, क्योंकि अभी बीच में खबर आई थी कि एक पाकिस्तानी नेशनल थे, उस पाकिस्तानी नेशनल तो नहीं लेकिन पाकिस्तान में वो रहता था उस्मान गनी, उसको पुलिस ने पकड़ लिया क्योंकि उसका कोई टेरर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के साथ लिंक था। आपने कुछ सुना है इस खबर के बारे में?
बिल्कुल सुना है। डेफिनेटली जो टेररिज्म के साथ होगा उनको तो आप किसी भी कंट्री में चला जाएं पकड़ेंगे ही, चाहे वो पाकिस्तान से या इंडिया से है। इसमें कंट्री का तो कोई बेस नहीं, इसमें तो आपके जो आप कर रहे हैं उसको आपको भुगतना पड़ेगा, चाहे आप किसी भी कंट्री में हो।
तो आपको लग रहा है कि अगर उसको यहाँ से अरेस्ट किए हैं तो कुछ तफ्तीश करने की बात है, वजह है, तभी लेके गए होंगे?
डेफिनेटली,
क्योंकि सबको तो लेके नहीं जाते हैं।
सबको नहीं लेके जाते।
By now, for every Pakistani citizen who flees his country and lands up at this refugee camp in Salzburg in search of a better life, the story of Mohammad Usman Ghani is a reminder that terror will be snuffed out. For now, Austria waits and watches what Pakistan does next.
The 2008 Mumbai attacks has set a template for global acts of terrorism. Usman Ghani, who is lodged here in this cell instead of a refugee camp where he intended to be, is suspected to have links with the Lashkar-e-Taiba. The Salzburg prosecutor has told Times Now that it's difficult to put a time frame on the trial as it's a complex investigation involving the cooperation of authorities across the globe. But that trial might just get expedited if Pakistan chooses to reply.
Should India now pursue the case jointly with France and Austria to probe Usman's Lashkar and links to 2611? If Pakistan has nothing to hide, why has it not replied to Austria for 4 months now? Should India lend a voice to Austrian plea in building pressure on Pakistan to respond on Usman's LET links? If India joins forces with Austria on pursuing Usman's LET links, will it stand a bigger chance of getting access to Usman Ghani? And if his links to LET and in turn 2611 proven, will it strengthen India's case against Pakistan to bring attackers to book? It's time India joins Austria's fight to further expose Islamabad and its tacit support to terrorists like Usman Ghani, whose bosses like Zakiur Rahman Lakwi and Hafiz Saeed are free men in Pakistan. With Danish in Salzburg, Austria, Niranjan for Times Now.
Yes, so this is a big exclusive news break here. Niranjan and Danish both joining us, in fact, to explain to us the larger import of this entire story. You know, Niranjan, what this story really does is obviously that gets Pakistan back in the dock. Now, this is an investigation spread across 3 nations, which is making us ask that was there a Pakistani link to the Paris attacks? Now, what's the larger import and what is the entire backstory, Niranjan?
Well, this man that you see on your screens, that's Mohammad Usman Ghani, was arrested in October 1st. In fact, this man of a Pakistani origin, along with an Algerian national and 2 other men who would go on to then bomb the Stade de France during the Paris attacks. Now, these 4 men go on a boat and they are stopped at Greece. Two of them proceed to Paris, where they carry out the attacks. The 2 others who are detained in Paris, in Greece back then, one is Usman Ghani, the other is Adil Haddadi. Usman Ghani is of importance to India. Because he didn't proceed to Paris, we have details of who this man is and his terror antecedents. As per reports emerging, and we've been tracking some of those reports, and we went to, in fact, we also have Danish joining us live from London. He was in Austria whole of last week trying to find out more about Usman Ghani and trying to get details of what Austrian government has found about his involvement in the entire plot. What we know is that Usman Ghani is a man of Pakistani origin. What we know is that he's a Lashkar veteran bomb maker. And I have in my hand, in fact, this is the only statement that we have so far. The only statement, and we're the only Indian TV channel to have this statement from the Austrian prosecutor's office. The prosecutor's office in Salzburg has given us this statement. It's in German, and we'll just put out the transcript of that statement on our screen for our viewers. Now, the essence of this statement is that Austria has sent a letter to Pakistan asking for more details of Usman Ghani. Now, Austria has written to Pakistan as early as in December 2015. In November, this man was arrested. In December, Austria writes a letter to Pakistan asking for details of Usman Ghani. It's been 4 months now. Pakistan has not responded. Why has Pakistan not responded? Because there is a Lashkar role that's emerging. This man Now, what we don't know as of now is how he went and joined the Islamic State module that attacked Paris. What we do know is that he was linked to the Lashkar-e-Taiba. Let's go across to Danish. He spoke to the prosecutor's office. He was at the prosecutor's office last week. Let's go to him. Let's go to him and find out what he knows and what he can tell us about the investigation that's currently underway in Austria. Danish, these two statements that you brought us, tell us the implications of what this means for India, because India will want to know what Usman Ghani's role was in 2611. Because you go through the statement, the subject of the statement is, and it's in German, it speaks about the Mumbai bomber. The Mumbai bomber, Usman Ghani, and links to the Mumbai bombing, and it talks about how there is no confirmation. So Austria hasn't denied anything that's being reported about this terrorist. Let's go across to Danish. Danish, what can you tell us about what the prosecutor told you when you spoke to him off record?
Well, Niranjan, it's very clear that Austria is very interested in finding out the entire trail. They want to recreate the journey of Usman Ghani because, of course, it's a huge security concerns in Europe as well. As we know, there have been attacks in Paris and Belgium. So they want to start. They want to have a starting point. And as we have just discussed and shown, that because of his Pakistani origin and possible links with Lashkar, they want to recreate that entire chain and how and what route he took to reach Salzburg. I mean, that's the interest that they have. But unfortunately, they have still not received a reply from Pakistan. Now, implications for India are huge. India has been claiming that Pakistan needs to act more on the attackers of the 2611. And here we have in Austria, where the Austrian authorities have not denied Usman Ghani's link with Pakistan. They are playing safe. They are saying we have to get a reply from Pakistan on this before we proceed further. Now, this investigation also involves authorities from France who are there as well, coordinating with the Austrian authorities to kind of piece this jigsaw puzzle. Remember, there's been a huge international European manhunt launched for the people who carried out those attacks, and these arrests are being made as part of that investigations. Because remember, there are thousands of refugees who are pouring into Europe from across the world, and the countries like Austria, Belgium now are very alert, and they want to ensure that Europe remains safe. So these arrests were made as part of that strategy. So it's very important for them to recreate this whole journey. And now that they have found this possible links with Pakistan, they're very interested in unearthing them. India's role now could be to have a close coordination with the Austrian authorities to find out through diplomatic channels what exactly is the ground reality, what kind of letter have they sent to Pakistan, what are the specific questions that the Austrian authorities are asking the Pakistani government. Because remember, I mean, that's a statement. I spoke to the Salzburg prosecutor on the phone as well, and he completely denied to come on camera, saying that he cannot say anything more than a comma or a full stop that's there in the statement. They want to play it safe because it has huge international repercussion, and that's what they are concerned about. So they're giving Pakistan the chance to come back and give them a solid reply, which Pakistan has failed to do so far.
That's correct. Danish, in fact, we're getting in more news of how the Indian government is tracking this, because remember, for India, it's very crucial about what Austria knows about Usman Ghani will be useful to India in the probe against the Lashkar-e-Taiba and the 2611 plot. Because remember, there were reports that linked Usman Ghani to the 2611 plot. Austria, when contacted, says we are not denying any of these reports. Austria has written to Pakistan for more details linking Usman Ghani to the Lashkar-e-Taiba. Austria knows there is a link between Usman Ghani and 2611, and India will want to know what that link is. And in fact, that's the little bit of information that we're getting from New Delhi about how the Indian government is tracking the story. In fact, we'll go across to Srinjoy, who brought us those details. But you also traveled to the Ashwinag refugee camp where this Pakistani origin man was, the terrorist was held. Tell us more about when he was arrested, under what circumstances he was arrested, and how the Austrian authorities called his game.
Well, Niranjan, any individual seeking asylum, seeking refuge in a European country is, of course, they have to go through several rounds of questioning. First, they ask them about their details, their nationalities, which countries have they visited in the past, what route they took to reach the country. They take their fingerprints. Then they are further checked through their database. And in fact, it was that due diligence that got Usman Ghani, along with another Algerian national. They found out that the passports or the travel documents that they had matched the database, which showed that a huge number of passports were stolen, or rather fake passports were being used by people to get refuge to enter Europe. And it was in that process that Usman Ghani was picked out. Remember, there are hundreds of and thousands of people who pour into Europe as refugees, and the European countries are aware of the humanitarian aspect of this, and they are very concerned about protecting the civil rights of people, because by law they cannot turn anyone away. But at the same time, they insist that they also have a role in ensuring that their borders are secured and that their countries are safe. And it was as part of that strategy that they picked Usman Ghani and Haddadi. And I was there at the Esfanag Refugee Center. We spoke to people who, of course, they say that it's not their home, but that the government takes good care of them as much as they can. They are free to go. They have to wait for their case to be concluded, and then they are allowed to stay in. But they get all the freedom, they get all the facilities. So why is it that the Austrian government picked up only Usman Ghani and Mohammed Haddadi? That's the question that the other refugees are also discussing, and they said that surely there has to be some problem regarding the background of those people. It's only in those cases that they are picked up and questioned. So they were picked up from the Esfanag Refugee Center, and they are now in a jail, of course. The trial, again, I don't think is going to be open to the public because it's a very secretive matter. That's what the cops, in fact, told us as well. We tried to speak to different authorities in the police in Austria, but no one was ready to come on record. They kept on excusing themselves and say that they can't come on record and that it's a sensitive matter. We also tried to ask the Salzburg prosecutor if this trial could be open to the media, and he said that it's very unlikely because this investigation will be carried out in utmost secrecy, and to begin with, they are waiting for that response from Pakistan, and then the trial will begin. But as I said, they want this trial to be fast-tracked so that they can establish the whole facts and come out with the details of the journey and his possible links. But there's a lot of secrecy around this whole issue, and of course, it's created a huge cloud of suspicion for the other refugees as well.